So today's video is on a different kind of treasure. I'm out here in a landscape that was completely burnt. You can see the green vegetation now is about chest high everywhere and recovered, and you can see the dead material still sticking out of it. So this is about a 2-year burn. But I wanted to show you some of the treasures. This is quest for treasure that are hidden after a fire. And we're going to take a look at them. And they're burls. And they're hidden. They're small ones. Now burls can be real valuable. They're used for all kinds of things, all sorts of woodcraft, everything you can think of. Gun handles, knife handles, cupboards, lathe work, bowls, cups, everything in the world. If you check online, the prices are incredible. So we're out here with some public lands that burnt, and I'm going to show you some little tricks to harvesting them. This is they're dead at this point, so some people take them off of live trees, which you can do. Burls are formed different ways. Funguses get into the grain. It's basically a knot of grain that has just a bunch of knots and swirls in it, where a branch grows out repeatedly and then gets taken off, and the tree has to heal over it. That can make a burl. Injuries can cause burls. Basically just a huge knot of wood. Any good wood that has good grain to it is valuable. The prices of wood is skyrocketing these days, so it's over the top. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's take a look. These branches here actually have burls on them. They're small, but if you see the little knots there, each one of those is going to be a swirly little gobby. Now this wood was burnt, but it still has its value underneath the bark. Smash underneath the bark here. You'll see. My hand's already getting icky. Look at those. Look at that. Now those, when you slice that, ooh, look at that piece of wood. Now if you were making a knife handle, any sort of stuff, the grain in this, when you cut it, would just be phenomenal. Instead of being straight grain, it's going to have all the swirls. This is where a little branch was, and gotten taken off in nature a bunch of times. Or a fungus. Anyhow, that's a pretty cool piece of wood right there. So that's an example. I think we're going to harvest at least a section of this. So I brought these little saws, with double cut saws, under 20 bucks, and man, they go right through the wood. So let me pop this off. Ooh, look, that branch had it too. Okay, kind of out of breath here, but that's a cool piece of wood. That's with the bark stripped off. And I'm not going to tailor that down anymore for right now, because I don't know what I'm going to do with it exactly. So I'm going to leave it whole. And I got some woodworking friends. I will cut into a section of one of these for you. And that's oak. It takes time to make a burl, they say. So this little oak is a scrub oak. I don't know his exact name, that's its common name. And this is about as big as they get, believe it or not. That was in its prime. That's a 100-year-old bush right there. There's this little baby self starting off as a thicket. It doesn't turn into an actual oak tree. It takes about that form right there. It's about the main size. But this one got a fungus, most likely. This looks very kind of diseased, as you would say, and caused its grain to go from just straight to swirly all over it. So any chunk of this could be used as a little section, or the whole thing is actually pretty cool. And yeah, I can do that because right by the road, truck's right up there, so I don't have to go very far. Next, okay, this is what remains of a manzanita or a chemise or buckbrush or one of the bushes out here. You see the landscape that we're in. So it was one of those, and it grew and grew and grew. And when it was young, its little branches would grow up above the dirt and then get nibbled off by other fires, by deers, by all kinds of critters. And this is its root wad basically. And everywhere there was a little root, it made a little swirl and another little swirl and another little swirl. Now I kind of loosened this, so they're not always that easy. And this one got burnt. So bad example, but there is what one would look like. We dig these up, and that will be a solid root wad, and you can get big ones depending on the bush. Now don't go, see there was his main stem that went up and all those branches, his, hers, its, and you can see, let me get you a close up here, it's like briarwood. The amount of little swirls in it, and so that's a detail, is the grain of things, the little swirls and things. So this episode is dedicated to my work partner Shane, who he's a carpenter, so his love in life is the different colors and patterns that come when you slice wood. So this is some of the best stuff, and just so hard, fire kiln hardened. Like I said, this wood got burnt in half, so we'll go look for a whole one. Okay, so there's a good example. It's where a bush stood. Everything got burnt off except for just a little stump here. Oh my God, that's anchored in there, so you gotta bring a shovel. You gotta dig these puppies out. And I know it looks burnt. Right under there, if you know manzanita, the red of it and the swirls, right under there is the craziest swirls that you've ever seen. Which I'm gonna try and get you a shot of some of these cut. And we'll start a new treasure hunt here. Okay, out of breath again and covered in black ash. Going to get this one coming out of the dirt. You can see the color in that is just the reddest red. Half the time when you cut redwood, it'll never be as ruby red and oranges as a manzanita. And if you look down in there, those circles and gobs, oh man, it's just, that is heavy, heavy with saps and stuff that all settle in there. Rock hard, heavy as heck. That's a good chunk. Not quite big enough to make a bowl, but you could work that down into a bunch of things. Just one little slice of this is enough for beautiful handles and cutlery ware and all kinds of things. Every little piece of wood that you can see inlaid into any instrument or anything that has wood inlay. And look at that. So that's the raw form. I won't spend a whole bunch of time. I'm going to try and get this little guy out of here too. Oh yeah, sometimes when you unlock one piece, they all start going. Let me show you on the roots here. Ooh, look at that gold fungus on the outside. But yeah, look at the color of that. Oh, it's just beautiful. Okay, right on. There's some good examples. So it looks really rough. That's the awesome part about it. Oh, that one got pretty darn burnt. And it's light. We're gonna leave that one there. That looks like a real piece. But again, big old hole that was there naturally. And then how much burn. It ain't worth the effort. This is gonna be our example creature. Spend the effort to cut this one in half. We'll do a bunch more burl videos. We already made a pellet full basically about 2 years ago. We started cutting them into them and made some things, so I'll get you some shots of those. Every time you slice a piece of wood, it's like a rock or any other stone, and it just reveals 1,000 beautiful patterns and stuff. So a definite detail, and you can see you know, in a landscape like this. They're on the trees, the root wads. There is a lot of harvestable wood here that's just going to turn into dirt if it's left. I mean, you got to admit that's one of the coolest parts of trees is the grain, their growth patterns, more patterns. How many years were you alive? You kept your record. Now I'm putting you in mine. Let's see, you can see the landscape is covered in burnt out stuff. Not every tree develops a root wad. A lot of them just go down, most of them actually go down and just grow. Same as what you see above, as above, so below. But some of these smaller bushes have made these little root wads over the years. And again, that's what a briar bush is, you know, any bush where it has, that's what those were, was 1,000 little branches that grew. Each one has the knot like you see in any other wood. But here they've clustered up and they're in such a vast amount that when you cut into it, it's just 1,000 million little knots. Got that one out with a little bit of a kick because the dirt was so washed away and eroded around it. That's a good one. Look at that. Beautiful. I have to take my word on it. Look at it, there's his whole base. And these come out, yep. This little one, how easy that is. Now the big ones that you're gonna turn on a lathe and make a bowl out of, they're not gonna come out that easy. And they are up here, they are all over. So I'm just trying to show you some of the cool ones. And there are some cool websites out there where that's all that these guys do is burl hunt. Look at that puppy. But in the chamise country where it's been burnt, we're going to have a lot of it this year in California. These are some of the easiest to get to. And if you're an amateur woodworker, or you do knives, or you do anything, I mean anything, I don't want to keep saying knives, but there are 1,000 little things where you set wood in. Instrument makers, people who make beads, door handles, anything that you make custom. There's some cool stuff out here. So we're going to take these. I'm on side of the road mission today. Oh, what happened to you? Sorry, that's just a squirrel's tail. If you gather up 400 of those and you send it to, I think it's Firefox, the fishing company, they'll still send you a check. Again, get permission, make sure you're on the right land. Don't destroy stuff. But you can see that they're around. You gotta hunt. A lot of these will just end in sticks going into the ground. Like I showed you earlier, there's one that got burnt, but that branch had a bunch of knots and swirls to it, and it's a whole different type of wood. And then remember that underneath all of this burnt is beautiful wood too. So you never know which one of these pieces is going to be, you know, just totally gorgeous underneath. So maybe, oh yeah, that was way too easy. Sorry, I don't mean to advertise this always going to be this easy or abundant, or that your truck's going to be right there. But that's how you should kind of hunt for treasure. But see where a bunch of branches came out there repeatedly at that level because of the sunlight or exposure? Where it got burnt, where it was rotten already, where it didn't get burned. And this one's hinting of beautiful colors underneath. So definitely treasures and details to be hunted. So we'll take these home and we'll slice into them and show you what we got. Every different bush here, every different species is going to have a different pattern. Ooh, look at those. I don't know if we can pass those up. Those are like solid balls. Balls, man, balls. I had to turn the camera off on that one because it was deep and it would have just been me thrashing and kicking. But look at the size of that one. Now you're talking lathe material. Here's where the roots went down. Here's where it kind of lived in the debris zones and the duff and the leaves and then dirt and mineral down below. And then the trunk went up. So he's dead. Gone. Never gonna live again. Rotting into the ground. Once we've pulled these out, and I like to do clean little end cuts on them and put a little linseed oil on just the ends. I leave the wood that they're cased in like that. Some people rebury them. There's lots of videos on how, I'm sure. I just keep them in a spot where they will not rot any further, like you would any wood. And or you can start treating them like you would any wood, which is cut them open and start applying whatever sort of preservatives you like. But they store for a long time after this. So these trees that grew that are going to turn into dirt, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they can be saved and used, and you can get some beauty out of the land. And believe me, sometimes after a fire, it is hard to find the treasures when it was so obvious beforehand. But they're out there, and the regrowth, how quickly things spring back because the old that is strong does not wither, and deep roots are not reached by the frost. Here's another one that just popped out. I'm getting too many to carry home, and I didn't bring a little tarp or anything. So that one has a hollow spot, but still, sure it has some good panels in it. Some good windows. We could call them windows before they're actual slabs. Okay, let's boogie out. Man, there's a lot of land out there to hunt, isn't there? Okay, there's our treasure haul for today. I know it's an odd looking treasure, but inside, hidden wonders are hid. There's our big oak branch, or whatever it is, some sort of chamise, I think. Maybe a ceanothus, the white ones they call buckbrush. And some gobbers. That one's gonna be the most swirly, I predict. So, yep, treasure. So here are examples where it did not grow into a burl. You can see that when the branch snapped off, it tried to heal and actually hasn't done that. It's probably causing rotting. Here in the background you can see other spots. That's where branches were, but it's just healed over and it isn't exactly a burl of any sort. For some reason, nature has made this, and this is massive. This is a massive oak out here in a field, and that burl that you're looking at, if you took that off of there, depending on who you sold it to and what you made it into, there's lower ones too. So for some reason, a fungus or some sort of pattern in this tree's growth is creating literally these big swirly gobs on it. Get you a different angle on this. Those are just massive, massive, massive. You could make tables, anything out of that. Planks of burl. But yeah, like I said, no joke, like thousands of dollars. People steal these. People will sneak onto land and cut this tree down and harvest that off of there for how much money it is. They're out in the national forests right now, everywhere in the world taking them. And on their own land. Tree guys, don't pass them up. Save them in the corner of your yard. Look online, you can sell them off to people. Pretty awesome, goes all the way around the back there. Swirls and patterns, swirls and patterns. Catching the last bit of light here, so I drove out to a nice open spot in the valley I live in, so it's recovered. This is the same valley that you'll see in Details of the Wild with all the wildflowers. Z camera. And for some reason I don't want to pick up grass in this light. Anyhow, this is what that field looks like this time of the year. Camera, come on. Must be this light. It's hard for cameras to see too. Let's hope it does better on our burls. So this is them. I've cut them up. Just wanted to do a quick wrap up here. You can see when you slice into these, the color is phenomenal. Try and slow down. Make sure we get the details. And that's before we've oiled them or anything. This, if you remember it from earlier in this video, is the branch, so I cut it down to there. And that's what it looks like opened up. Really pretty also, kind of a brown. Let's bring it in the light and see which one is better for your guys' eyes. You see it, the swirls actually go up into those naughty looking parts there. You flip it over and you can see the red swirl up into it. And when you, it's like licking a stone or having a stone wet, of course the grain is going to show it better. When you cut them, of course you get negative and positive, butterfly images, you know, split and reversed images. Here are a few. Well, let me show you where I'm getting everything. This is this one. There's the back side of it. Remember these? There's the roots sticking down, the root wad. Here's where I've sliced into it, so I'm using a skill saw. That's all that I have. You have band saws or a nice sharp sawzall, anything. Anyhow, that's what the grain ended up looking like in there. If you know grain without that being wet. And then look at the knots in there. You can see all those are little eyes like in a fence board, except for that's how many are clustered. So that's what gives you the swirl. So you can see on the outside of wood, that's what will be inside. Now I've used linseed oil in a cup here and already soaked some of these down. And now the color starts popping, so you can see what I was talking about, treasure here. You see that? So I think that's one of the most gorgeous things that nature can make. It's kind of like a natural gemstone. You see there's the outside, there's the before. Oil, bam. Set this in the light. Fire, right? And is that not fantastic? And I didn't do that. I plucked that, I sliced that, and I oiled that. Before. After, and there's the outside. So these are all around you. There's the breasts that I've done like that oiled up. I'll show you those in a second. The rest of the slabs, and that was just that little bit of material out of there. So you know, if you're looking for small little inlays, there's a lot right there. Look at this one, I slabbed it up, and that's what its patterns look like. We'll kind of pull each one out like a chunk. Kind of keep these like that for you. Next one. And then that's what the remaining stock looks like. So, ew, yeah. Left that one whole. Haven't delved into that, so each one is its own treasure. Here's this one that I cut in half. Our light is fading on us here. That's what they look like, kind of cool. Some more of these in the last fading bits of light here. One that I did earlier. This is what they look like after the oil has soaked in. And of course, if you're going to sand these, it'll pop the grain even more and then varnish them. And that's the before. It's beautiful stuff. And here's another one. Slice this one open. You can see the slabs of it. So just like rock, every face is going to be different as you go through it. And I thought it might be fun to put the oil on one of these in front of you and show you how it lights up. Excuse me for the focus here. So, look at that. Left-handed daubing even. I'm using a piece of toilet paper dipped in linseed oil. So, and you might find your own techniques for sure. These are unsanded. Just slice them literally with a Mag 77 skill saw. And that's what they look like. Let's do this brown wood. You want to do the brown wood? Get the old gob oil on there. I am on the side of the road in California with linseed oil, so luckily my neighbors know that I'm a safe kind of crazy. Or else right now, with what's been going on and the fires and stuff, might freak some people out. But they're used to me, I guess, probably. Being nature guy. There's that. That's what I wanted to show you. Garbage. Yes. Pretty. Do you see how that went from brown to, I mean, try and dry that off so you see its truth. And that's what I mean. This isn't a glass surface at all. You can see my saw marks and stuff in there. But still. Alright. So, that was just that branch. Imagine you can clean up the outside too. Stick boy, my wood carving drummer friend, would probably detail the outside of that just as pretty. What else can I show you? You want to do one of these? Let's do, let's see, both of those look pretty good. Dipping. Oh, right? Oh. Excuse the grunting and groaning. Focus, focus. Look at that. I think that's pretty awesome. This episode is called Shane's Grains, because I gave him guff about, wanting to take apart a barn and get the good wood out of it. And then I realized, wow, he's a detailist that's finding detail that you can't even see on the outside, which sent me on this quest. So I have to attribute it to him, because I do remember looking at grain in life and going, that is a treasure. There it is. That's hidden inside there. So, I guess that's what I can show you besides going on to each and every one of these and doing it. But as you could see, you could slice it ever thinner and get a million patterns out of there. Anybody wants any of this? Help me figure out how to get it to you. Hopefully for local people. People far away, you gotta go cut your own dang burnt sticks. Okay? Have a good one. I'll see you out there. Thanks for joining us. This was Quest for Treasure. Shane's Grains. Doing the burl hunt. See? Happy ending. He's still got his tail. No worries.